This is the Thursday, February 15th meeting of the Special Improvement District Board of Trustees. I'm going to ask Steve to please read the sunshine compliance statement. Tracy Levine will join us shortly.
Thank you, Chair. Notice of the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 10-4-6, the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice was posted in Town Hall and the Township website by notifying newspapers on December 19th, 2023 of the schedule for 2024 and providing notice to the Township Clerk. If everyone could please rise and salute the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you just check for when Ashley gets on? Then promote him.
Take roll call first or then
Mission statement.
mission statement first. The purpose of the Special Improvement District is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors. Millburn Township SID ordinance designates a new district management corporation whose mission is to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of Millburn Township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development and engagement.
I'll take the roll. Alexa Clark. Tracy Katz-Levine will be attending shortly. Tim Hoffman. Here. Jackie Lieberberg.
Here.
Ben Stoller.
Present.
Ashley Schultz.
Here.
Hello, Ashley.
How
Richard
are you?
Wasserman.
Here.
And Stephen Weiner.
Here.
We can do the minutes if you'd like, because Tracy was absent last time anyway.
Okay. May I have a approval of the January 18th, 2024 minutes? May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
May I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Alexa, you might want to put on the microphone. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, the treasurer's report.
Oh. We're moving right on, sorry. Thank you.
This is our first time running a meeting from the start. I'm having trouble keeping up with the roll here.
Okay.
What's on TV at 8 o'clock? What are you gonna be?
Included in your materials is our 2024 budget report, January 31st, 2024. We had a bank balance of $17,455.77. As of February 8th, you'll notice a big jump up to $69,029. The reason is we did receive from the town on February 7th the allocation for the executive director's salary in the amount of $55,158. Also, I wanted to mention the formatting of this report's a little updated. We have 3 columns, A, B, and C, which is meant to detail the sources of the revenue, the assessment, outside grants and sponsors, and then township contributions. So providing a little more transparency into the source of each of the line items. Further, there is, just wanted to make a note that the assessment roll for 2024 was approved by the Township Committee on February 6th unanimously. So that was good news.
And then I'm gonna just go over a new report that we've added this year, which is included as well. That is the report on grants and other funding sources. So you have that in your packet. I have I've reorganized it a little bit just for presentation purposes. We do have 2 financial requests in, one to Columbia Bank and one to Richmond County Savings Bank. Garden State Bank and Union is in their service area and therefore in our granting area. Both of those, it's $15,000 and $3,500. They've both been submitted and they're under review, and those would be for streetscaping projects on Morris Turnpike and Upper Millburn Avenue. So we're awaiting those decisions. We do intend to apply to TD Bank Foundation for music to support the live music series. That is supposed to be done 90 days prior to the launch of the project, and so We'll talk a little bit more about the Main Street closure process, and Tim will detail that. But if that does go forward, we'll be applying for funds for that. We're in the process, and we'll talk about it some more, of applying to the New Jersey Main Street program through the DCA. That's due on March 15th. And then subsequent to that, the state does offer an economic and zoning analysis program for free, where they'll come in and analyze your improvement district for zoning improvements and economic development. So once we apply for the Main Street program, they've encouraged us to apply for that as well. Two programs that have come online this month. One is from the New Jersey Division of Tourism. That is a grant program to help support online marketing and social media marketing. So we'll be applying for that. And then the Schumann Fund is a local fund out of Montclair that has encouraged us to apply as well. So we got a lot of things in motion. There's 9 grant projects that are in some form. So we'll just keep updating you month to month. But hopefully one of those 2 streetscaping grants hits. And we can start in the summertime doing some of the streetscaping projects.
Excellent. Are there any specifics about those grants that we should know about, or just?
None in
pretty-
particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Stoller, Township Committee report, please.
Sure. And Steve, if you give me just a list of those, I want to keep those going too, so I can report that to TC, the list of 8. And it's become a topic in, discussion in the township of why there hasn't been grants, people applying for grants in previous. So I would love to overwhelm the township with grants and money, raining money. So I think it'd be a great thing. And
well, it's funny that you bring that up, because actually Alex and I had a conversation today with New Jersey Transit Office of Transit Friendly Planning. And so that group handles land use planning. They're the only group in New Jersey Transit that does land use planning. And they actually will come in and meet with elected officials, board officers, et cetera, to talk about some of the things that we discussed were pedestrian safety, ADA access, downtown circulation, micromobility, and then the grants to actually secure that. And so something as simple as improving a crosswalk, or better access to the train station from the parking deck. These are not cataclysmic, big projects, but they do require money. And the state will help design those projects through an on-call consultant, and then they can fund them as well. So Alex and I had that meeting today, and he's going to bring that to you at the TC level as well. So
okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So one of the updates I was going to give was the Main Street application approval at the TC level. And I went to considerable lengths to question Mr. Grillo on every possible topic. I went to considerable lengths to question Mr. Grillo on every possible topic to really understand any obligations to the township, obligations of the township to state or federal, et cetera, so that we understood, and that there were any that there was nothing, for lack of a better word, sinister going on, and that everyone understood. It seemed to open up everyone to say, hey, we should be getting more grants. We should be putting in for all the grants, and that it is money that is available to our township. And that was off the back of, I guess, an article that came out that said that other townships were receiving grants and we were not putting in for them, and why we weren't. So I think that was very good. And Steve did a great job of explaining and articulating the pros and of the platform of the grant, et cetera, and how it applies to the downtown district, and that the aesthetics of downtown, et cetera, and how it works. So we're in the process there. Just 2 other points. I want to talk about we did not have a chance to get into the holiday decor committee and township funding. However, I discussed a little with Alex afterwards, and we do think it makes sense for a holiday winter decor in the business districts. So I think we should do a unified and long-term plan, and we should create some type of committee to ensure proper budgeting and request. So I think we should actually put that together here and go with a long-term, short-term and a long-term strategy to beautify the township during the holiday season. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think we should actually put that together. But I had not had the opportunity to do it. I think we should be very methodical in that process, and we should do it early. And then I I do want to talk about the prohibited uses ordinance that was approved by the TC. I think it's important for this board to understand. The prohibited use ordinance was passed to ensure a broad level certain uses such as vape shops, slaughterhouses, retail, sale of firearms, and others would require a use variance from the Board of Adjustment to operate in Millburn Townships. We certainly understood there may be acceptable uses or uses that can be made acceptable as conditional that fall under the prohibition ordinance. However, these can be examined more thoroughly at a broad level and that is controlled. The Township Committee felt that this ordinance is consistent with the vision of what types of retail establishments, bless you, we want to attract to Millburn. And that doesn't mean they're all prohibited. They just have to go in front of the zoning board for the variance. Correct. So, and that's about it.
Terrific.
Any questions?
I just want to piggyback on that. It's been I think it's a great thing to put together a prohibited uses ordinance because one of the discussions in my economic development spheres in the state is just aged out ordinances when it comes to zoning. And so anytime a municipality takes the initiative to review its zoning codes, add things, remove things, it just shows that there's some progress. So I think it's a terrific thing to do.
I just have a question. Do we have any updates on the liquor, Murphy, do we have any more information? You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was all taken care of, I guess, in early January, if I recall.
Right.
I thought we talked about it in January, but I don't recall. I think from a downtown perspective, it has not been good. I think most communities are fairly frustrated because there was a hope that more liquor licenses would be available in small business commercial districts, not just downtowns, but strip mall complexes, et cetera. Really what came out of it is that large shopping malls really were the ones that received the benefit. So don't quote me on this, but I think, and maybe Ryan, you remember this off the top of your head, but I think malls above 750,000 square feet get an extra 4 licenses, and malls above 1 million get an extra 5 licenses.
I'm not familiar with them all.
Yeah, so don't take that as gospel, but it's close. And I think the feeling that came out of the Murphy administration, the press releases, was that they are genuinely concerned about the survival of large malls in the state, which from special improvement district perspective is a nice thing. It means downtowns and commercial districts are rebounding. On the other hand, the number one taxpayer in this town is the Short Hills Mall. And so there's a bit of a catch-22 when it comes to that. But I think we have seen a number of breweries shut down throughout the state in the last quarter. I think there's definitely some frustration, there continues to be frustration about how difficult the liquor license reform has been.
Okay.
But I would not expect any new liquor licenses in any of our commercial districts within the city.
Sadly, we've been talking about a beer and wine license as a carve out, and that hasn't been embraced.
Well, one thing that we do have in New Jersey, and actually Jack's Lobster Shack and maybe Basilico, have
New
it.
Jersey wine.
Yeah, well, no, it doesn't have to just be New Jersey wine. It's just as long as you purchase from one vineyard or one provider. And so, for instance, Jack's has a license to sell wine, but it can only come from one provider in California. So you can buy wine there. You just better like that vineyard. That's the rule. But that rule, I believe, has been in place, I think, sometime since like the 80s.
I'm surprised it's not embraced more.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know why it
Especially
isn't
when you
more
have,
popular.
Okay,
Yeah, but that is a provision that the state allows.
okay, interesting. Mr. Hoffman, Business Administrator's Report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to comment on one item tonight, talking about the Main Street closure traffic study status. I'm just basically providing a basic overview of what the process is going forward and where we are right now. Ultimately, with the Main Street closure, that's something that's done by ordinance by the Township Committee. That's what establishes the closure. And in order for that to happen, that has to then also be approved by the Department of Transportation. In advance of consideration by the township committee, we're working on trying to have a traffic study done in order to look at flow enhancements throughout the downtown, just to see how can we improve upon what's been done in the past, really to ensure that traffic flows better, but also ensuring safety throughout the downtown. We're trying to have a proactive approach to what we're doing and looking at this point. So we're hoping to get that process started and also trying to get that done before there's consideration by the township committee there. I don't have anything to comment on with the Essex Street two-way conversion, but I'll turn that over to Mr. Grillo for that area.
Sure. And just for timing on the Main Street closure, we met with, you were in that meeting. You're not on the Essex Street meeting, but you're in on the Main Street closure meeting. We met with the traffic engineer, I guess, 2 weeks ago. And they have already started traffic counts, and they're looking at some intersection controls where, just for instance, they're gonna analyze Old Short Hills Road as it comes down towards Main Street. That's a congestion point when Main Street is closed. That's, right now, we only allow one right turn lane, but there are 2 lanes that could be used, and it goes into 2 lanes of traffic. The challenge would be, how do you maintain pedestrian safety? And so they're gonna look at creating 2 right turn lanes to alleviate vehicular traffic, and maybe shutting the crosswalk between the old Charlie Brown's and Common Lot, and requiring people to go around the other way. So we don't have the results, obviously, they're in the middle of the study now, but the expectation is that the township committee will receive that report probably in mid-March. And so it's not just traffic counts, it's looking at some more functionalities to alleviate traffic as well as pedestrian conflicts, but as more information comes, it'll be provided to the TC.
Yeah, just one point of reference, I would also include, some type of touch point for St. Barnabas, as well as fire and police as well. I mean, and first aid squad. I think those 4 touch points would be very important for us, because of not only the altercation that occurred right here where Mr. Feld is sitting with the Valises last year, which was there was a altercation of us. A gentleman had a cardiac arrest of some sort.
Cardiac issue, and there was some, yes,
That there was a time issue.
Yeah.
timing issue in
Correct.
South Mountain.
Yeah. So I would, and there was also a surgeon who stood up at the podium and gave testimony on he was having difficulty having his staff who lives south of Millburn make it into the hospital or the OR in a timely manner. So I think it would behoove us to have those discussions, and what the timing, because I think he said it was on only certain times. So just to make sure we do that homework.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
the engineer will be looking into that, so we'll make a special note of that.
And I'm passing around now a presentation that I actually made, I think, in September of last year to this board. This really looked at user trends and economic impact of the Main Street closure. I don't know if Ben had a chance to see it before he was elected. But this is just really good data. This was based on a survey that we conducted. Some of the high points, 30% of the users come from neighboring communities. 19% weekday evenings. I know that was, is it just a weekend kind of place? Is it a weekday kind of place? There's all interesting data in there. And we also got some feedback in terms of things that we could fix. Better light timing, adding a crossing guard, more active police traffic management. And so I think this serves as a good addendum to the discussion that we've had on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been a big proponent of closing the street down on times that make sense. On a Monday at 11 o'clock for 2 people to enjoy a Chardonnay in the middle of Main Street, is that the opportune time? And I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, just so we understand what the metrics are and when it's really, the cost benefit analysis and such.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we were feeling our way through this, right? In 2020 predates me. I don't know what the schedule was, but in 21, we had done weekend closure only, really like Mother's Day to July, and then it was permanent Then we reduced that weekend closure to just June. Then last year we eliminated the weekend closure because it was just too chaotic. And so we've been fiddling with it every year. And I think, Ben's questions about usership and user time are, we've been learning that ourselves, right? Is we didn't necessarily need it in May when school was still in session. It was just an excess cost. And so, yeah, I think we have to look at this not only holistically, but collaboratively. Everybody sees it differently and uses it differently. And there's a lot of data out there, but there's also, I think the traffic numbers are going to be, really important, how we can make the traffic move more smoothly as well. So that'll come to you probably mid-March. And Tracy has joined us just for the record.
Yes. Welcome, Tracy.
Thanks, my apologies for the delay.
Are you feeling
Okay.
better?
Yes, thank you very much. Good to be back.
Good to have you.
Oh,
I
Essex Street,
just-
I owe you comments on that.
Yes.
Yes.
So, this is not as interesting. So we are in the final steps of what has now been a year-plus process of working with Collier's Engineering to look at the two-way conversion of the entirety of Essex Street. So that is from what is actually called Douglas Street, behind us this way, where the traffic triangle is as you're coming into downtown, all the way up to where the Annie Says property is and the other traffic triangle. And so the concept has been fairly straightforward in terms of how much roadway there is. You can remove some parking and create two ways for traffic. The challenge has been all of the intersections, the parking deck, the entrance to lot 1, the crosswalk by Live Breads. The recommendation is potentially to move that slightly to try to make it a little bit more pedestrian friendly. So the report, they gave us a final version yesterday and we spent about an hour with the consultants. There's probably going to be a public visioning and discussion on the final results in the next 3 to 4 weeks, depending on when Alex can schedule it. But I think we're very, very close to a final product on what that recommendation would be. And then obviously it'll have to go through the process with the TC. But in terms of the committee and the engineering firm, I think we're about 99% of the way there.
Is there a targeted, when would that, is there a better time to start that? I mean, I think like a summertime or winter or?
Well, it's a
seasonal?
capital project. I mean, you'd have to, you're gonna have to start doing quite a bit of work, restriping and removing parking. And I think there's a call for a new traffic light somewhere in there. It's different turning lanes. It's a very, very large project, yeah.
Is there any way to map out, I don't know, I'm not a traffic engineer, but map it out on a temporary basis to see how it goes first? I think we learned our lessons from Complete Streets.
There was a
before
discussion
we-
about that,
Yeah.
about looking at it in segments.
Mhm,
So one segment was actually from Maine to Douglas,
mhm.
right? So going past, really from Common Lot to Mariachi to the new Wells Fargo development. Because we do have the fire department and police department there, and so there's some challenges about getting vehicles in and out. There was the discussion about the conversion of Spring Street to a two-way, which has been a one-way for quite some time. I think it was originally a two-way,
Yes.
if I recall.
Yes,
So I think what may happen as this whole process unfolds is some temporary experiments with different streets.
mhm.
But I think it's great that we've gotten this far in the process. I think it's actually been more closer to 2 years, if I recall, because you were on the original committee, Richard, I think.
Yeah, and it's complicated and there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
And the traffic, and from what I remember, the traffic, there's an issue also when you add a traffic light. That's a pretty sizable expense.
Yeah.
And there's different types of traffic lights. And I think that will probably be one of the discussions also.
because one of the big things, we were talking about now, a left turn from Old Short Hills Road onto Essex, right? That doesn't exist today. That's a total change that's gonna have to be made. So, and Annie says, there was discussion yesterday about how are we gonna deal with expectations of a project that doesn't exist yet, right? How are people gonna utilize that entryway when it's now a two-way street as opposed to a one-way street? So I don't expect this to be a fast process, but I would also say this is the kind of project that does need to be very deliberative because it's a very complicated project on that street.
But when I was involved with the Colliers, I mean, they were very, they were anticipating that it would actually speed up traffic.
Mhm.
And there'd be an efficiency built into all of this. And I guess that's what the
That's the
real,
driver.
that's what the driver is.
No
that
pun
actually-
intended.
That actually people can get around without going, going all the way around in the circle, that would be,
One of the
this is
committee
it.
members mentioned that yesterday,
Yeah.
and we had a bit of an aside during the meeting, which was, what is the problem, right? And that you're trying to solve for. And I think part of the challenge is that it's called the Essex Street two-way, but Essex Street is really not the central point. It's really about dealing with congestion on Millburn Avenue and Main Street. And why does that exist? Part of that is because Essex Street is a one-way street. And you could alleviate some of the more challenging congestion on other streets if you made Essex Street a two-way. So it's not only complicated, I guess, in terms of the physical layout, but it will impact the entirety of the downtown, hopefully in a positive way.
You mentioned earlier about eliminating the crosswalk common lot to the old Charlie Brown's.
Mm.
I mean, I live up in that.
No, not
neighborhood.
eliminating it.
No,
Just
well,
blocking it for,
blocking it
a
for
month.
now, but but couldn't that be something that they could look at as a permanent thing? Because it is very difficult to make that right turn at any time, with or without Essex Street.
Mhm.
Main Street being closed. So-
yeah, and I think the same logic applies to what is now called the Hearth at Millburn, the old Wells Fargo site. Right there's no crosswalk, even though there'll be 50-something apartments, right? So, and then also I mentioned Live Breads, and that it's kind of a wonky way that it's laid out. There's a crosswalk and there's a traffic light, a crosswalk, and then another traffic light right after it. And so it's not a particularly well-designed section of road. And so I think there's a whole host of things that need to be addressed in terms of pedestrian safety and vehicle efficiency on Essex Street itself. So I think it's a great thing, and I encourage all the board members when we do have this public meeting to come out. I think it'd be very informative.
Well,
Do we know when it is?
It hasn't been scheduled yet.
the last public meeting was very well attended.
Yeah.
And a lot of opinions, a lot of positive opinions, a lot of negative opinions, but I think part of it was just getting and seeing what the flow of traffic is. And getting to the next step, which is probably two-way traffic on Main Street too, see.
Yeah, that's the second phase.
Yeah, to see the normalized, because right now it's not normal. I mean, you guys know where I live on the historic section in Wyoming is, I come down this Essex Street, Millburn Avenue to Essex every day, and there's always somebody making a left off of Lackawanna on Essex.
Mhm.
Without doubt, 3-4 times a week, I see somebody making an illegal left turn,
That seems awesome.
and we're off of Old Short Hills Road. So
Yeah.
I think that will solve a lot of that.
Right.
Well, it will, and that'll be a turn.
Yeah, then we'll be going down a one-way street.
Right.
So more to come. Certainly when a date is released, I'll let the entire business community know.
Thank you.
You're
Moving along, Mr. Cooper, statement
Sure.
regarding the
Let me address
501c3,
this.
yep.
Address this item. So, prior meeting, there was a suggestion that, the, Explore Millburn-Short Hills 501c3 application to the IRS, might have been, improper or didn't disclose the, SID's relationship with the township committee. This is in the packet, is that correct, Steve?
correct.
Yeah, so there is a letter
Attachment 4.
in your packet from an accountant. I think it's very well written and I think very straightforward, so I'm not gonna recap the entire thing. I just wanna be very clear, there's no merit whatsoever to that suggestion. If in addition to the clarity of the letter that's in your packet, there's to put the whole thing to rest. We contacted the IRS. When I say we, the entity, not me personally, it was the accountant who wrote this, who confirmed that the IRS was well aware of the SID's relationship with the township committee. And I can tell you that that's, I think, pretty much on face value. Anybody who's ever submitted a 501c3 application to the IRS, and I have, you submit your bylaws, they look at that very closely. So the suggestion that the IRS doesn't understand the relationship is frivolous. So I just wanted to, I know the executive director wanted to make sure that that was in the packet. I wanted to just address it if there were any questions on it.
I'd like to just add, funny enough, we got in the mail today a letter from the IRS in addition to the auditor.
Oh, good,
So
confirming.
this simply stipulates that the IRS had a conversation with our auditor and reconfirms what they stated.
Yeah, I think the suggestion is silly.
They must have known we had a meeting.
To the contrary, yes, that
Yeah,
wasn't disclosed. Second item I just wanted to talk about was, I know there was also a lot of discussion about the Bear Properties litigation. And particularly as it sometimes relates to public comment that residents may make. Again, just so I'm always available, either in executive session or offline for any questions. The Bear Properties plaintiff is a entity, I think it's an LLC. I believe Ms. Urso, who's a frequent public commenter, who was here last week, is one of the owners of Bear Properties. So in effect, a litigant, to the extent she's part of the control group of the business entity. Mr. Feld, also a frequent public commenter, is the Bear Properties the plaintiff's attorney, right? So he's representing that entity in the lawsuit. As we've talked about repeatedly, the SID is not a party to that litigation, but the litigation does seek to revoke the ordinance that created the SID, which is, I think, why there was a lot of discussion about the format and the extent of engagement with a litigant and their attorney while litigation is pending. Also, just with respect, now, I think this is the third year I've been the counsel to the board and have been adjoining, and we've been talking about this, I think, since the very first day, which is the mediation issue. I believe it still has not been scheduled. There has been a lot of representation about or implication or reference that the requirement to mediate is should be inferred as a endorsement of the plaintiff's case by the court. And as I've said before, absolutely should not make that inference. It would be a false inference. Mediation is a required program in almost all civil cases filed in New Jersey Superior Court. So there just shouldn't be any inference made from that. Again, while we're not a party to the lawsuit, and even if we were, which we're not, during the pendency of the litigation, the SID's going to operate as usual until there's a ruling otherwise, and certainly none are anticipated at this time. So while I'm not an attorney of record for in the case, because we're not a party to it, again, I'm happy to make myself available anytime to anybody who has questions about that, either during meetings or afterwards.
I believe the mediation is scheduled for May 29th, at least I have on my schedule.
It may very well be. It's been scheduled probably half a dozen times over the past 3 years. The other thing I'll just tell you the practical matter. So I got a notice today of another case that I'm representing a party in of a mediation that's scheduled for February 27th. We settled that case in November. So my point being is that you get these notices periodically with dates on them, and they are heavily dependent on where the case is at when you get to that date, the party's availability, the mediator's availability, etc. So I think that is certainly an aspirational date. Maybe the parties will get there. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't.
Okay. Marketing and events report, Amanda Dean.
Alright, Steve's gonna pass out, this is the, yeah. So this is the cover sheet to the sponsorship packet for the entire year, all the different opportunities. I'm gonna finish those sheets, the rest of the details, and we should have this up on Tuesday. What we're offering is something different this year. We have 6 signature events, and there's what's called a super sponsor. So someone that gets a slight deal on this sponsorship, but they pick 4 and they commit to that. And then they get that signature level sponsorship and the benefits that go with that. The stellar sponsor, it's a similar offer, except it's you pick 2 events. for 8,000, and you get the signature level benefits as well. And then we have with live music, there's 3 different opportunities, streetscaping, 3 different opportunities. But this is just kind of an overview, and so we're really looking forward to it. There's a few new things on here I'll be brief about. We're gonna do an Upper Millburn Avenue Day. I believe we discussed it before in August. We're collaborating with the Metropolitan on that. They're gonna be one of our sponsors, just working out what that will be. And we're doing what we're calling a holiday spectacular. I'm not sure if you all have noticed yet, but we're losing a week between Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah. So, and Christmas and Hanukkah are almost at the same time this year. So we're doing an event this Saturday before Thanksgiving to try and get people out earlier. So that's gonna be an interesting event, and it'll be a test for us, but I think it's necessary. And everything else, I think you're familiar with. Any questions on this?
Can I ask,
Sure.
I have not seen this before.
Mhm.
Can you just give me a quick rundown of how many sponsors we've had in the past and what it means to be a sponsor, et cetera, et cetera?
I can give you a ballpark, and then I can give you a report. So depending on the event, Winter Villages, we had 7 sponsors. This past year, Girls Night Out, we had, I think it was 8 or 9 sponsors. HerMD was I think the top one. And then we'd had the Here for the Holidays event. I don't know if you're familiar with that. We had it at 12 homes in 2022. It was an empty space, and we did kind of a holiday boutique, but just SID businesses. And we had, I wanna say, probably 5 sponsors for that event as well. But I can send you a full list of.
Do you wanna just explain a little bit what the sponsor, the other
Yeah, like-
question,
So-
what the sponsorship meant, like I think Winter Villages is a
Why
great
don't you get Winter
example.
Villages?
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll break down Winter Villages. So with Winter Villages, the signature sponsor, they get their logo on the banner that we put over Essex Street, that area, the little island by the book house where you see banners all the time. So we put a banner there. It includes event signage. It includes dedicated reels to our social media followers. It includes dedicated e-blasts we have over 2,600 people. And then it gets down into things like the posters that go in the shop windows, at our events listings, things like that. So different events have different kind of perks just because of the way the event is laid out. With the Winter Villages, something that was unique this year's, we had a s'mores sponsor, which was Splurge. And they gave out and managed all of the s'mores activities. And then we had 5 igloos this year. And the difference from 2022 to 2023 is we made them sponsorship opportunities. So Linda's Florist, Sugaring NYC, Curious Kids, several businesses that just opened or are gonna open became igloo sponsors, and then we put a little kind of North Pole sign in front of them. And it was very successful. So that's some of the unique things there. With Girls Night Out, we're gonna have a neat opportunity this year. We're gonna have and I'll explain more, but it's gonna be a mermaid themed experience. So we will have live mermaids here. And so that's gonna be a sponsorship opportunity. So just to give you a sense of some of the differences.
So I just have a question.
Mhm.
The signature sponsors are those listed above. The
Yeah.
4 events for $10,000, are any of those 6? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So the 2 events for 8. I'm not sure it probably should be 3 events, right?
Could be a stellar sponsor.
I think it is, I think it's a typo,
Yeah, I think it's 3 events, right?
it's a typo,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
yes,
right, 3? I just
3.
wanted to, 3 events, okay, that's what I.
that's why we have extra eyes.
Right, extra eyes, and, yep, okay. Okay, cool, that's all.
Yeah, so a couple things I wanna do is, and now sitting on like 7 different committees as a township committee member, liaison. Like the rec committee, the joint fields, a lot of these guys are, they wanna start cross-pollinating some of their groups with the township, with the business improvement district. Because they, you know, we had like 4 teams in the finals, and what do the kids do after the wins, and celebrate at La Strada, celebrate, like our kids all did. And, you know, I know Steve and the girls after volleyball, after soccer or whatever, is how do we get everyone communicating on the same page, but also cross-referencing on their social media pages as well, because a lot of them, and the big one came when I was mentioning at the rec department about Restaurant Week. Because I was talking to the guys at La Strada, and they were all really complaining about, they went all out for a Restaurant Week, so I was pushing Restaurant Week hard, and even Agra at La Pergola, and some of their people, is that they didn't get the turnout they want. So I've been pushing at all of the different liaison committees I'm on, is get all your parents and kids out to Restaurant Week. I'm like, well, we don't know about Restaurant Week. So somehow we have to light that fire to get more and more people out for Restaurant Week. So, and then they're like, well, can you get people out to the games? So I think we have to figure out some way to cross communicate across all of these different boards. And, you know, whether it's, I just don't have enough time in the day, but somehow we can get a cross communication through all the boards, from joint to rec to BOE to all these guys, where we can kind of cross reference. And even on Happy Millburn, you know, if we could, or any of these Millburn channels on social media, to kind of cross pollinate, you know, and upsell all of these great events out. And even the rec games, because we have literally 4 or 5 teams in the finals on a state level for the rec programs. And I don't know if anybody's even heard about it, but you know, it's just been fantastic. And also for the kids, for the high school programs, between fencing, volleyball. Our volleyball was in the state championship, our fencing's in the state championship, our soccer was in the state championship, our football and wrestling weren't. But our soccer team was, you know, it's fantastic programs, but how do we get all of these to germinate that same type of enthusiasm to cross into the business section? And then also too, the paper mill should be on here too, getting, you know, cross-referencing that, I'm sure we did.
For
Restaurant Week?
Yeah, for restaurants.
Yeah, they are participating.
I'll be giving a report on that.
Well, I think, you know, you bring up an interesting point. I've always used CETA as, I think, a really good example, right? So CETA is this umbrella organization where all these other arts and cultural groups, who are often less well established or don't have the communication, or they're all volunteer, get to kind of filter their ideas and plans up, and then this one kind of lead group takes the run on it. And I think that's a good model for how the town could potentially, I think certainly the CIT has the capability of promoting. I've heard many times on social media from people that the town just does not do a good job of promoting itself and its organizations. I think there's a lot of political talk on social media. There's not a lot of current events talk. And maybe that's a matter of the Millburn Facebook page being more versatile. And we do have now a public information officer who's very good, who I think could step up and, you know, go through what's going on. We have a very good relationship with the Board of Ed, and we also work with all of the elementary schools, preschools, etc. And so we actually go door to door for child-focused events. They're really receptive. I think there's others that haven't been as receptive, but I think it's absolutely worth a conversation about. There's a lot of good stuff going on, but you need like a central repository. And so I don't know if that's, I think it's the township, and I think there's got to be some mechanism, because we do have, you know, we have the mayor's message phone call, we do have the push notification text messages. I just don't think they're being utilized as well as they could be.
Now the township committee phone call.
Yes.
Yes, the township committee phone call.
But that,
I think that's a step in the right direction.
but also, couldn't you have a student liaison that, from the high school, that is in charge of communicating or or coordinating and centralizing all this information and then either reporting it to for the weekly mayor's message on the or some kind of forum and empower a somebody that's interested, a junior or senior that's interested in marketing communications, and have that person perhaps make it to our public information officer and make those kinds of
I mean, it sounds like a good internship,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Right,
Well,
right, sounds like a great
yes.
opportunity for a high school student. But also, I think on our website, I think that there's an opportunity, maybe on the website, to coordinate with our public information officer, where you get all
Or
of
just
the-
happening this week in
or,
Millburn,
where
just
you
4 or
start
5 bullets.
Where minimally it's on the website, or it's on the town social media. And but I think you're absolutely right. There's just there's so much activity, so much information across all of these committees that a lot of us are serving on, and certainly with all of your responsibility. But it'd be great to I suggest maybe start at the website, and make sure that a lot of this stuff is just on there for, that's where people may start to look. But you're right, there's a void that could be filled.
But just a thought, yeah, I mean, I love the synergy idea. Could there be even like a little mini listserv of all the chairs of these committees, like that people could just quickly message each other of key things that are coming up? Like, is there any way that those folks are linked together? Like Jackie, I don't think you are, like, are you on a,
No,
have you on a list along with the
I'm on
chair
a
of
list.
the rec department, along all those different chairs where there could just be like a little listserv group?
I think that would be incredibly helpful because people could either send a press release if it's something that's significant or give an update for the week or the next few weeks.
Yeah, who's this, I mean, I'm
The public
embarrassed to say
information
it, who's this
officer?
public information officer? Because
she's
sitting
in-
as liaison on because literally, Board of Education, Rec Committee, Joint Committee, bid, said, Township Committee, I see it all, I could point them right in the right direction, say, because even when you're at the Board of Education, there's 2 students who are updating the Board of Education every week of every board
Why
member
aren't
of where
they-
they go.
But
So-
they could,
But it'd be nice if the public information, even just, you could mirror me for a week and I'd say, here, introduce them here, and get,
Right.
in email, say here.
or streamline the process, have the students, email you, this is, upcoming events. And then you run it by the public information officer for posting on the township.
Well, that's why I was recommending.
No, but I'm saying not, it doesn't have to be you, but.
But that's why I was saying a listserv, so that it's not on any one person, like if you just form a little list of 20 people.
Officer, I
or-
would take it work for the town, right?
Yeah. so
Yes.
that's-
Paid employee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's
That
kind
sounds
of,
like a point to us.
right.
Our public, just for a point of clarification, our public information officer is on leave at this point, but we'll be back in March.
But
you're covering, right?
Working on it, working on
We're gonna be doing anything else.
Okay.
it. So,
March is only a couple weeks.
correct, so
Yeah.
these are good notes to, I'm taking the notes on just the
Yeah.
I
discussion.
think there's a reality, right, so Maeve is, I guess, the interim public information officer. But the reality is, it's easy for her to reach out to me or Amanda, we're in town hall.
You're in
we're-
town hall,
We're
exactly.
full-time. It's a little tough when you're trying to track down a volunteer who maybe has an hour or 2 a month to pay attention. I think you're right, there has to be a little bit more of a proactive stance from the town to say, give us your information, let's consolidate and put it out.
Wait, but isn't there also an opportunity for, wear your jersey, you're the volleyball team, wear your jersey and you buy 2 slices of pizza and you get the 3rd one free, or there's an opportunity for.
That's the opportunity, it really is, I
Right.
mean, we'll, I'm going back 35 years, but maybe only 35 years, you wear your jersey, get sliced in a string.
Right.
But I think, I still like, 10 to 5 years ago, didn't the girls do that in this town or something?
Yeah,
Sports used to
basketball.
do that.
Yeah.
You guys did that,
We
right?
did it was, they were basketball play, the team and stuff.
Right.
The middle school, they would come in, yeah. No, even on our website, we could congratulate the teams that are winning, like I didn't know that we were,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Definitely have that conversation with the high
Yeah.
school, at least
Yeah.
start that.
But too is, and I just, I somehow I'm now trained on asking a question wherever I go in town. Unfortunately, with my family, we go out to eat a lot, is tell me about restaurant week, and everybody just gets that same look, is they want more volume, want more people to know about it. So we just gotta get that word out and just drive traffic, because there's really good deals. It's like, I remember living in Manhattan, and we all salivate for restaurant week. You
Yeah.
go into the Imperial Palace and you get Peking duck for $32 or whatever it is.
So I've started doing save the dates. We have at this point, we have 18 restaurants signed up, and I'll pass that out as well. So what happened last year, and it was the first year we did it, is that we really pushed social media last year. We had a ton of influencers, and we had the restaurants do what they were capable of. So it wasn't necessarily just prefix or something else. I got a lot of different feedback from people, including Listrada. And so this year we've been pushing a variety of menu. So either, flights, prefix, tastings. We need to make it more interesting for people to come to it. And also encouraging people to have some type of entertainment. So in our kickoff meeting for Restaurant Week at Opportunity Project, there were some residents there that are part of our advisory committee, and they were saying, we want something to do with the kids. So they were like, is there some kind of Sunday brunch, something with a magician, something like that. These things aren't that expensive. So we have, and I'll pass it around, we have been giving a ton of information to the restaurants on how they can participate. We also have Corinne from Real Style Exchange. She's helping me with the follow-up, because part of the problem last year was people would sign up, they'd say they're doing something, and then it wouldn't make it the next 4 or 5 weeks. Someone goes there, they don't even realize it's Restaurant Week in the place. So there's a lot of things we're doing to make this a stronger event, and then also to do the marketing for that. So I anticipate this being a really, really nice year for us.
Are we still doing the influencers?
Yeah,
And they were very effective.
right. And that was another thing, which was about equity, is that we will make sure every restaurant that is participating is included with at least one influencer. Because last year, the influencers like to do their own thing. They like, they do their top 5, they do their top 3, or they have favorite places they like to go. So this is going to be managed much more closely and have requirements with them so that everyone gets their fair share of attention.
Let's all spread the word.
Yeah.
And certainly
March 17th is a Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday's there.
Sunday to
When you see our
Saturday.
stuff on social media or you see email blasts, please send it out, tag
Yeah.
people, let them know. That's the beauty of digital communication. And then we will be hitting the streets with posters and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, so.
Yeah, about 3 weeks out, we get the banner up and we start putting the posters out. But the other things are gonna start coming into play in the next 2 weeks. This is a fast event for us. Next year will be, like, my plan next year is to work on this in the summer so that we can start January 1. But I think we've made a lot of progress with getting our full event schedule and all of that other stuff done up until this point. But always open to suggestions and definitely about your experience this year. Any other questions about this document?
That was just item 1.
I know. Okay, so the Metropolitan, I had a meeting with them today at their corporate headquarters, which is on Mars Turnpike in Short Hills. And it's Garden Communities is the owner. This is going phenomenally well. Just some notes. We have over 50 businesses participating in one way or another. We have, I'll just review. just pass them around.
Pass them around.
Yeah, so there are, I think, 6 ways that we discussed with the Metropolitan for our businesses to engage with their residents. One of them is the welcome bag. You know, normally you if you're leasing a place, they give you some type of, you know, there's water bottles, this or that. So they have a welcome bag. We are gonna have a Explore, you know, welcome envelope with all these postcards. These are just examples. There's gonna be at least 30, I anticipate closer to 40. And these are businesses that are giving, you know, percentages off or offering something free. And to go to the KPIs and metrics, Ben, that you brought up in the last meeting, I've asked all of them to use some type of code that reflects the Metropolitan, or at least have it say welcome to the Metropolitan. So when they collect these things, when they're brought into the shops and services, we can then go to them and say, how many people came in from this campaign? Which is something I plan to do quarterly, just because they're gonna continue to have move-ins and waves. So it's a really awesome way to promote the businesses, get something in people's hands. And so right now we have, like I said, 30 that are participating in the postcard aspect of it. The next part of it is just little promotional items to put in that welcome bag. So we have, I think it's 5 or 6 businesses doing that. Millburn Camera, there's the one, I can't think of the agency. And
Coldwell Banker.
No, not
Weicker?
Coldwell Banker, Paper Mill, they're doing a pen, a really nice pen. I think Rena from Keller Williams is gonna do a potato chip clip. So there's little things like that that are gonna go in there. We have Home Instead's giving us a reusable bag. So I anticipate a few more items coming in for that. They're gonna go in those bags as well. And then we have the leasing office opportunity. We confirmed today how many. They are willing to put 5 plexiglasses out, the 8.5 by 11 size, featuring 1 business each. The Ethical Mattress is gonna go in probably tomorrow. He already designed a flyer and they accepted it. K&Co is gonna get one, Game Changer Fitness, Pure Bar, and I'm working on the 5th. These are businesses that are either related to things you need to move in, or like the fitness type thing is what they agreed to promote. That's a really great deal.
Does this cost anything to the, I mean, just like put up your banner?
Right, it's not costing them anything. It's costing, it's their marketing, you know, whatever their deal they're giving, but
And they're paying for the production of the postcards,
the businesses are paying for the production of their postcards.
their own postcards.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the leasing office, which is great. They also, we almost finalized it today. Places like Live Breads wants to give a packet of cookies to each resident. I know Taste Buddy wants to do something similar. So for them, they've decided that they want to give that opportunity when they open their pool Memorial Day weekend. So to have, you know, vendors, like they asked if, you know, Haagen-Dazs would come and have ice cream, things like that. So I'll be reaching out to the people that were interested in the perishable gifts and see who can attend that. We also had the opportunity to promote things in their lobby. They are
But if I
thinking,
was Taste Buddy, I would open a concierge service in that lobby. Swear to God, I would move somebody in that lobby,
Like just handing something?
just handing, so I literally get a high school
Oh my God.
girl or guy and stand them in concierge, Taste Buddy concierge.
If I was
With a
Taste Buddy,
tray,
I just pump, you know, good smells and.
actually, not a bad idea.
Go up into the HVAC system and start baking cookies.
I lived near M&M Mars once and it was literally like chocolate pollution. So, but yeah, so they've decided, they think they'll probably do some type of vendor fair in their lobby, but later in the year when more people are there. So everyone that's expressed interest, I'll let them know we're gonna put a pin in it and come back to that. And then the final item is people that wanna offer services. So like Vive Infusions, they'll offer to come into your home and provide you with your vitamin C IV or something like that. So we're gonna have a sheet that has those different services listed. And those will be given to every resident. So those are the main things there, besides the fact that we're gonna continue that relationship and they're gonna help sponsor the Upper Millburn Avenue Day, which hopefully will also encourage the residents of the Metropolitan to come to Upper Millburn Ave and the other parts of the community. Does anybody have any questions about the Metropolitan?
How many people have started moving in? How many did they give you? Did they share any
I
of the
think it's like
data?
under, I wanna say it's under 20.
Okay.
They see them coming in waves starting in April.
Mhm.
They anticipate being at full capacity by the end of 2024.
Okay.
Related to that, I've been in touch with Hearth Millburn, which is the old Wells Fargo building. We've provided them with the list of downtown businesses. That's what they want to list on their website. We've also provided them with images and other things, and it's not concrete, but it looks like we'll be able to put something in their welcome packets as well. And that's another 50 units.
Do they have a leasing office also?
Yeah,
So you may have another opportunity to do
There
this,
too.
mirror the same thing.
this is a little bit later, probably like a May, June
Right.
timeline,
Yes.
but we're taking those steps now.
Strategy wise.
You should replicate that at the, and he says there at Woodland, at Woodmont.
Yeah, you know, Ben, at the January meeting, you had suggested coming up with some sort of, we'll call it KPI loosely, but you know, how do we quantify this and learn for future? With at least 2 more projects, plus, you know, whatever happens over on Woodland, Woodland. Yeah, this is the opportunity for us to do what is really one of the core and unique functions of an improvement district, which is collective marketing, right? If every single business did this on their own, it wouldn't work. But this is collective marketing, this is volume, this is organization. This is one of those tough projects that a CID has to do, and Amanda's doing a great job, but I think having 50 businesses signed on already is terrific. So let's see how it goes, and we'll keep repeating it, and hopefully it's successful for our business.
Yeah, and I will say, like with the Metropolitan, they prefer to have us as the liaison versus having 500 businesses knocking on their doors.
Well,
So it's a service to them too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, the advisory committee roster, I think I just need to review this, Steve. Was there anything else you wanted me to do?
I can do it if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you guys know, every January we present you guys with an advisory committee list. That's attachment 5 in your packets. This is required by the bylaws. This is made up of business owners as well as residents. Residents is a new addition this year. So we've got a bunch as well on there now, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least as I quickly count.
17, attachment 5.
Yep, there are 17 members,
Yeah.
5 residents or 4 residents, the remainders are business owners. This group is meant to be kind of a sounding board for general ideas, policies, events, and then ideally can also serve as a training ground for a potential board member. So I think the original list we presented was 20 or 21.
Right.
Amanda had a meeting in January, a couple of the folks decided that they didn't want to participate. So at this point, we have 17 folks, and we'll just continue to, those are quarterly meetings, but
Shouldn't they be required to come to the meetings and fill up the pews?
well, then they might ask questions, might be here all night.
We should be educated if we're required.
No.
Let's make that a suggestion.
They are actually, they're very good at their meetings. We do talk a lot about what happens at these board meetings. I wish some of them would come, especially, you know, we can cultivate them as board members.
There you go.
When some of you eventually leave, well, the tough part is getting any of you out of your seats.
I do want to emphasize that having the addition of residents to the advisory committee this year has been invaluable. So I think that's been really nice.
Can you put an invite out to the board members to their advisory meetings so we know when they are?
Yep.
I have gone in the past. I did not go to this past one.
One.
Pardon me?
I mean, you've done.
No, I went to them all last year. I was the liaison.
She was the lady.
So.
Don't ask me that.
Yeah.
Actually,
No, I
do we
think-
have an official liaison this year? Like, who, you should have that role. You were in that role last year.
Yes, I was in
Jackie.
that role last year.
We didn't get anybody to step up last time, but we can certainly, at our
I
January
mean,
meeting.
and I'm
we can ask.
running them at this point, so
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can ask for a liaison, why not?
Yeah, we got very valuable feedback last year about the lighting in lot 16 behind, right, was it lot 16?
14.
Lot 14, that we
Yeah.
brought that forward, and it was a concern for, during the holidays when it gets dark earlier and that was addressed with the township. So there is a lot of value.
Right. And this is a great list of people, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
The meetings generally are early in the morning before,
No, they're
busy.
the-
No, we
Oh, now you
had
changed that, we
because
had
the
that, now
restaurant-
you changed,
Yeah,
okay,
they're normally, I think it's
5:30.
5:30, 6:30, they're done by 8.
okay.
Okay, moving on to restaurant week. Can you pass these out? So,
She gets paid by the hour.
so this is our image for this year. We've stuck with the branding from last year, which was established from the marketing committee, and we held that through all events throughout the year. Again, we're pushing the Sunday brunch option. Opportunity Project is also our partner again. And this just is something that we had sent out to all of the businesses, and also something that Corinne has been taking when she's been popping in to talk to people about Restaurant Week, get them signed up. So just a couple, this is the current list of restaurants that are signed up as of this evening. So there's 18. And just see, the Paper Mill Playhouse, their carriage house is signed up. They're gonna be doing some pretty awesome stuff. I'm waiting for them to confirm before I can say anything. But they have really stepped up to the plate with that. And then the Verde Harvest, I think I had mentioned again, they are giving 20% off wholesale prices to restaurants for that week only if they want to order their products.
And where are they located?
They're on Main Street on the second floor.
They're an indoor farm, so
Is
they
that
are,
like the microgreens?
yeah, so they're right above, across from Taylor Park where Teen Skin is.
Yes, yeah.
So I think that's 93 Main. There's 3 tenants above. One of them is Verde Harvest. The woman moved there, I guess probably about a year and a half ago. And so it's an indoor farm. It's all hydroponic. So it's just greens stacked on
Yeah.
top of each other.
Who knew?
And the good news
Taylor
is,
Park. Next to Keen's.
so it's not a retail, it's not a retail operation. What she does is she does delivery to homes. So
And
you base,
businesses.
and businesses, so, and then there's a B2B option where Amanda asked her, how do we get locally sourced greens to the restaurants? They're gonna do it during Restaurant Week. And I have some sad but good news, which is she will be leaving that space soon because her operation has gotten so successful, she needs more room. So she's gonna stay in Millburn, but probably in a larger, more industrial space. But whenever I lose a chick out of the nest, I want them at least to go to a bigger nest. So,
And
In the township.
In the tree.
yes, in the tree, but a bigger nest.
So the paper mill, the carriage house is gonna be
Participating.
participating.
Mhm.
Now are they going to be, are they helping us market?
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm getting out all of the templates to promote for Restaurant Week. So I'm sending them to all the businesses.
Now, when I just have a specific question, now when the carriage, when the paper mill does the marketing, is it only for the carriage house, or are they gonna carry,
We got one.
are they gonna carry like?
I mean,
a
they
full-
want, they're gonna use the branding for restaurant. They were two
Because it'd be great, because I know from one of the last
We
meetings,
get the second.
I know from one of the last meetings that the paper mill has 100,000 person email list. And it would be just great to make sure that they carry our full menu for all the businesses, and that would be, and if we can get on that 100,000 mailing list for all the restaurants, including the carriage house,
Mhm.
that would be a home.
That, I mean, that's the whole point,
Jackie, which one
is I did this last year and doing it again this year, and the paper mill requested it, so I'm getting that out, is our branded templates for this event. So our colors, our images, everything, and then they add,
Just wanna make sure it's included, in their stuff.
we have Cody now that we're
Yeah, I
working
know
with,
Cody.
and he's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
on
So
Zeta.
we'll be talking about the different ways that they can help us.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, Richard, though, I think you're saying for Paper Mill to promote Restaurant Week
In
overall to
general.
all their
That's
folks, not
exactly-
just their
That's
carriage
correct,
offer,
that's what
yeah,
I was driving
just to
at.
clarify.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
can ask
Yeah.
as much as I can, I can't
They have
force
a
people to
tremendous
do it.
marketing machine. Yeah.
Right, no, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm not sure, is Paper Mill dark that week?
Yeah, that's why we
have it.
planned this that
Yes,
week.
okay.
So anyway, I guess the copies I made didn't come out quite right, but We're encouraging people, I gave them a list of potential entertainment that they could have, whether that's having some type of vocalist singing, you know, every half hour during breaks, whether it's having, you know, a magic show for a Sunday brunch for kids. There's people called pizza acrobats where they toss the dough and do like a show with it, stuff like that. So I'm not asking the restaurants to, you know, try and figure it all out on their own. We're trying to give them as much information and as many resources as possible. So again, part of having Corinne help us is she's going there, getting them signed up. Now the next thing is, what are you gonna do?
Right, is this, so this list is not complete, right?
No, that's just as of today.
So can you add a Millburn Ramen, Zero Sushi and Tanino's.
Did they tell you that they're gonna participate?
They will participate, they don't have to.
Nino's is on our meeting list for tomorrow. actually.
Add Tanino's, add Millburn Sushi, Zero Sushi and Millburn Ramen. And just tell them I said that they should join.
The other thing I will say, last year we did have struggles with some of the businesses with language barriers. And so I had prepared for Corinne, when she was going and popping in every place, a registration form that was in Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese, Thai, Spanish, and English. So we kind of get past that barrier, at least to get people signed up, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
I think I've covered most of that. Any other questions about Restaurant Week? Okay.
No, but we have our meeting right before Restaurant Week, so we'll have another bite at the apple to make sure that we, right? Our meeting is March 14th, I
You
believe.
could add splurge that list too.
Splurge, I'm sure will be on.
Yeah,
Did we get Taste Buddy too? Are they on?
we're,
They're notoriously difficult to deal with.
It's just management problem.
The management issue, maybe.
yeah, really. Any other?
Too busy putting the cookies in the HVAC.
Nice, okay. All right,
So this is really great stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really coming along. Okay, so Millburn Schools Wellness Week. So this is a new project. And, let me get my notes. So the school system is required to have a wellness week. It's gonna be May 6th to May 10th. And, I've have a relationship with Nancy Drees already, and so she brought me into the fold with this. And, we're working with the head of nursing with the school system and then representatives from the different schools. What we're doing is, for the elementary schools, we're providing assemblies with 3 focuses: self-care, nutrition, and fitness. And so far, we have Sweet Tooth Pediatrics signed up to do some of the assemblies for self-care. For nutrition, we have Springbone signed up. I have a call with Pliables, an admin for Pliables tomorrow. And then for fitness, we have F45 signed up, SwimQuest signed up, and I'm working on a couple of the others to fill those spaces. But this has been going extremely well. And what I've really liked about these projects is it's getting different businesses involved. You know, it's not just boutiques, it's other places. So that's going to continue to progress. We are also going to provide wellness for the teacher lounges. I have One River, Artivino, and Green Door, who are all going to manage the different lounges with activities that the staff can do on their own. Like one of them, One River's going to have hand drawn mandalas from the artists there. They're making copies of those, and then they're going to provide the markers and other things. So those will be out at people's leisure. They can do these activities. Artivino is going to do one big canvas and have the paints there and have outlines on it so people can go and contribute to it. And so then at the end, it's this piece that represents the staff. They can hang it, they can decide what they want to do with it. And then Green Door is still putting together details as to what they will be doing. I have proposed a program for the middle school students, and that involves self-care, reflecting on technology, all the issues kids have with their hands and their necks and everything. Skincare, and then skincare for athletes. One of the things they try to get to is the hygiene issue with the kids kind of going through that, 12 to 15 age. So we're going at it in I think a delicate way.
Amanda, question, you might be doing this already. Can we just make sure with the assemblies, obviously the assemblies are front facing to the kids. Just that in whatever communications the schools have going out that week, that they are including info for the parents, like this week, your kids got to do fitness with F45
Yeah.
and whatever, and maybe those businesses even wanna include like a special offer or something, like mention fitness week, just to tie it back, because obviously the parents are gonna be the
Well, I have told
the
people to send
potential
stuff home with them.
customers,
So this is a soft sell. They are not there to
Yeah.
sell stuff to the kids.
Of course,
But
but
they
even just
can give
letting
information.
families know. But I say even just letting families
Yeah.
know that they were in the schools and like what they did, even if it's not a direct
And maybe we can get our own social media content.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be there probably most of
Just
the
to
time.
get like-
So May
More
6th to
thing.
10th is the high school?
It's the whole thing. It's the
It's
whole school
it's
system.
the whole, all schools?
Yeah, it's elementary through high school. So we've been working on it in phases with the programming. So with the elementary schools, they do assemblies. With the middle school, it's gonna be little almost like health fairs where they'll have 3 different businesses set up. The kids sit for 10 minutes at each one and they revolve around. We have not discussed the layout for the high school students yet, but that'll probably happen in the next 10 days. So just kind of following their lead, and it's been it's a really great experience. So I'll bring you updates as I have them.
Well, what's gonna happen in the lounges?
So in the lounges, it's 2 things. One is One River, Art of Vino, and Green Door are doing art activities that people can do on their own or share. So I had mentioned with One River, they're gonna have mandala coloring sheets and the markers and things, and people can color those at their leisure as kind of an art therapy, a relaxation thing. Art of Vino is gonna have a giant canvas with the outline of an image on it, and they'll provide the paints and brushes, and then people can pick up and paint a section of it.
Let's talk about Ebon too.
Yeah, that's a part of another effort. And then Green Door is still working out what they're doing, and then the other part of it is getting puzzles and games for the faculty lounges. So K&Co already gave us a game, and then I'm doing follow-up next week with the rest of the businesses that would be selling those types of items.
I would just, be very sensitive to a lot of different people, different students and such as well, so.
Okay, so that's Wellness Week. Let me get to.
I'm just thinking on Wellness Week, picking up, I think what Tracy was mentioning, somehow to circle back and think about how to benefit businesses in an indirect way, like back to parents and things, because it's a great program and I think it's a good idea, but I keep thinking, well, how would that help the business community, and how can we creatively sort of get the names out of the companies, the businesses that are participating, how can we? I don't know, that,
Yeah, no,
I mean-
but with Nancy Dree's newsletter that goes out to the entire school community, maybe the Friday before, we have a link to what's happening at the individual schools with some, some promotions or whatever is, stop by and
And it has to be a big thank you, all these businesses for offering your time, effort, and resources to
That's a
promote
nice,
this.
do a thank
That's a
you
good
after
idea.
with,
Promote it.
kind of
one
summarize.
before and one after.
Yeah,
So,
that's nice.
people get the hint.
Yeah.
Get your behind in that store and buy something or do something and help reward the pillars of the community for spending their resources to help your son or daughter or he, they, she, whatever.
Yeah.
To go in there.
We will come back with more. We'll give you
Yeah,
some-
we've got some time.
Cause that is,
you could use the sign, you could use the triangle, you could use the high school, yeah,
because
could
they,
use the
because
ba-
because they
banner.
should be rewarded for.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
putting
They're
their
community
money where they-
partnerships.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's a collaboration.
Okay, so I think we're on to Founding Day. Jackie, did you wanna start? And I can-
Sure, I mean, I kind of have a little summary prepared, so we've had 2 meetings so far. It is a seated-driven event with Explorers Partnership, and the other ancillary groups that are involved thus far are Environmental Commission, Green Team, Climate Action, Historic. What am I missing?
You want the list?
Yeah.
So, the Chinese
Oh,
Association.
no, not that, I'm just talking about the
Oh,
the
the-
organizations, not the wheels yet, so that, so we have 13 community organizations that will be participating in the wheel designs. You wanna list those, and then I'll go on to the rest
Yes,
of the program.
so the Chinese Association, Cora Harsham Arboretum, the Korean Parents Organization and Millburn Korean School, Millburn Climate Action, Millburn Municipal Alliance Committee, Millburn-Short Hills Desi Club, Millburn-Short Hills Historical Society, Millburn-Short Hills Chamber of Commerce, Muslims of Millburn and Short Hills, Neighborhood House Nursery School, Paper Mill Playhouse, the Neighbors of Millburn Short Hills, and the congregation.
B'nai Israel?
B'nai Israel, yes,
Figured
Congregation
it
B'nai Israel preschool. And so they.
Is the library not?
They didn't,
We
we had a
the
deadline.
library, cause that mill wheel out there is really sad looking, I saw it the other day. Can we reach out to them? That just
We
seems
reached
like
out to everybody, yeah.
I'm so
Yeah, they
surprised,
didn't
like
know.
friends of library didn't wanna
They said that they were,
Okay,
Well, Dorothy Kelly,
Okay.
who's on the
Yeah.
Historical Society, is
Is
also
gonna-
one of the Friends of the
yeah.
Library.
Right.
and They didn't
okay.
wanna do anything with it.
I have to say, that mill wheel outside the library looks very sorry, like I feel
Tired.
like it would be better not to have it there, I think I think if we're gonna do the new mill wheel project, I think we need to ask them.
Well, I'm also
I
gonna,
wanna suggest potentially ask them to retire it,
we're
because it
retiring
looks
another
shabby
one.
and it makes it
Pardon me?
kind of detracts.
We're retiring another one, which is at
Okay.
the Rackets Club. So I have to go and
I don't know.
liberate it.
I don't know what
Just
others
um,
think, but
but I will,
I don't think it,
I will talk to
especially if
library.
we,
we'll talk to Mike
Okay.
Panic, okay.
Yeah, I can get it.
alright,
So those, they'll be following
great
a robust
first.
design submission, engagement, protocol. The day of the event, we will have live music from 1 to 3. The Millburn-Short Hills Historical Society will be doing walking tours. There'll be visits with Millburn's founding family characters, period games for children, historic boards that talk about the Millburn-Short Hills and the establishment of Taylor Park, and Mrs. Taylor's other contributions, including Neighborhood House, which she is a founder. The activities around the Bauer Center will include chalk squares, cornhole, lawn games, and some novelty distribution. Then we'll have some other tables for some of our other historical society will have a table. Paper Mill is also a very important part of our iconic history. They're working on what their activities will be. The Environmental Commission at noon will be, Priya Patel will be leading a park cleanup for students and young members of the community, and following up about information about plastic waste in the park and in the river and what we can do. The Environmental Commission has a meeting next week, so they're working on that. The Climate Action may be also doing the milkweed plantings for people to put together and take home. And as I mentioned, there'll be these games, we're working with Explore on that. So the date is May 18th with a rain date of May 19th. So I just want to encourage everybody to participate. It should be a pretty exciting day, I think. I'm excited about it, and you know, it's 5 years ago that we did the mill wheel, so it's hard to believe it's 5 years. And we have Michael Cooper working with us as a partner and these wheels will be will be better able to withstand the elements, and once finished will be throughout our 5 districts. So we'll be working on keeping them a little bit more.
And I know I mentioned at the last meeting, just want to reiterate, the cost of getting these wheels refurbished and then all done is actually coming out of our Essex County Public Art Grant. So it's not coming out of our general operating budget, it's coming out of a line specifically for public art.
Just wanna confirm, as at other events, we'll have like our Explore postcards, like we'll be distributing information. And this would be nice also, I'd love to see us have a less manual event than less manual process than we had at the igloos in terms of email collection, like if we could have like QR codes or even, you know, like chance to win $100 gift certificate to a business of your choice, everyone who like signs up for our email list today, like just use these opportunities to build our email list
Good
and
idea.
promote our businesses. But I say something that doesn't, I feel like that was, we collected a lot of info, but the manual sheets were very labor intensive. But if we just have a QR code and it's like everyone who signs up today is entered to like a chance to win something.
Good. Jackie, do we have any of the family members from the founders of the town, the Taylor family, or any true, like, has any?
There's no,
idea
just-
what- I'm just curious, because
No,
this
they
is the
don't live-
founders.
yeah, we're selling, the Historic Society has a lot of information about those families that they'll be sharing on posters and boards. But to the best of my knowledge, we do
Nobody
not
really.
have,
But the actors do come back.
Well,
the
the
actors,
actors-
yeah,
It'd just be cool if
Yeah.
it was like, oh, my great,
yeah,
you know,
yes.
whatever, yeah, okay.
I guess that would be something to certainly explore, if any of the
I
relevant,
didn't mean to.
yeah.
But it
No,
would
no,
just
no,
be
you're,
cool.
you're 100, yeah. And well, Cora Hartshorn never got married, so she was single, and so I don't know if there are any relatives on, but, or Mrs. Taylor, I don't know what her.
Don't look at me like you want me to go find out. I'm busy.
Well, the Historical Society
The
might,
Historical
right.
Society might, yeah. Okay,
Girls' night out?
girls' night out.
All right, so we've had 2 meetings so far and everything's off to a good start. I will get the save the date out next week because I have to finish restaurant week tomorrow. Just some highlights, a reminder, it's June 9th. And
It's on here June 8th, is that right?
June
9th.
sorry, June 8th, I have a typo on my sheet. The committee, Vicky from Shawless, Nadesh, who's a property owner in town, Kelly and Corinne from Real Style Exchange, and Jean from SLT My Skin. So they all participated last year, really great symmetry with the group and wanted to continue. As I mentioned, so this year our theme is gonna be kind of the mermaid experience. Mermaids symbolize many things, including female power, luck, renewal. And so we're gonna have things available, like the salons will be able to do mermaid hair or do like beach themed things on your nails. And what do you call it? And they'll be able to also, a lot of them have the airbrushed ability to make it look like you have scales and things like that. So we're working on getting those put together.
Girls are weird.
Yeah,
Don't put that in the minutes.
Yeah.
that's the end of that. We're gonna do a beach bag instead of a swag bag to kind of go with the beach theme. There's gonna be, we're gonna have more DJs. Live music just didn't really work last year, so the DJs really get the party going. And we're gonna do the leis instead of handing out the roses, right, Vicky? So that was something that was a lot of fun. A lot of the guys from the high school were handing them out to people, even in their cars while they were, you know, at the red lights and stuff, and people had a great time. And let me just see if there's anything else.
Do you have a rain date or no rain date?
I think it's the next,
that's next week.
the next week. So we have a lot of other little things we're doing that are special that I don't wanna give away yet. But it's gonna be from 5:30 to 8:30. And we're going to encourage some of the businesses that cater to children to do things related to mermaids in the beach at 4 o'clock. So an after school type activity where parents pick up their kids and can go and do something because they wouldn't be planning on doing something that evening with children. So we want to add that aspect to it. And we're also going to have a VIP after party for the committee, advisory committee, board sponsors, and all of the businesses that participate in that. So working on getting that taken
Do
care
you
of.
know where that will be?
We're looking to do it at Joey's, but I still have to sit down with them. So there's much more to it, just want to keep it simple, but Biggie, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but we're.
Did you say the date was June 8th?
Yes.
It's on a Saturday?
No, the 8th's a Thursday.
Thursday.
What year are you looking at?
2024. June 6th is a
Good.
Thursday.
Oh, June 6th.
There we go.
I made the typo.
I'm all confused.
You know why? June 8th is my father's birthday.
Oh,
It must have been in my head. There we go.
Okay,
What date is it?
June
June 6th. So if you wanna go celebrate Steve's father, it's on the 8th. But yeah, so that's
It's D-Day, yes.
the report so far. Any questions?
Are we, I remember last year it came up with the crossing guards.
Yeah,
We wanna
we'll
make
do
sure
all
that
of
we have, crossing guards in place, make sure it's safe.
We will do that
Thanks
again.
for all the work on all this. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on.
Yeah, we're only 6 weeks into the year. Anything else?
And the rain date is the following week?
The following Thursday.
Do we know when the roads will be like repaved and stuff? Cause with Restaurant Week in March, will they be cleaned up? Like, we've had no parking signs up in front of Splurge on Main Street for, I think it's for a week. That there's no,
Yeah,
I know
that'll
there's,
be gone.
that'll be all gone. Will the street, cause it's just hard driving. It's very bumpy on Church Street. It's really kind of hard to drive on. I'm just curious if we're putting all this effort into a Restaurant Week, trying to bring people in. And the streets are.
Yeah, I think the spring, what is it, the Washington section, whatever the Washington
That's what
schools.
we've done.
Yeah, and it should be done relatively soon and repaved, but it's awful driving through there.
It's,
The parking restrictions on Main will be over by then. We do have construction going on at the parking deck. So I sent some communications out this week. The third deck is closed for construction, but what we've done is kind of reconfigured shopper parking and business parking on the second level to try to make up for those spaces, but that project will not be complete by then. But hopefully, the Washington area will be repaved by then. Because I spill my coffee every morning
yeah,
as I drive
it's
up.
really hard.
It's really bad.
Can't miss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, executive director's report.
This will
Mr.
not
Grillo.
take as long, I promise you, it will be
Okay.
quick. So the first thing is, on January 19th, Amanda and I had a meeting with some members, actually 7 members of the Chinese Association in town. The impetus for the meeting was concerns that we've heard from both sides, business owners as well as the Chinese residents, about just a lack of cooperation and buying in town and how they've embraced the local retail community. And so I wanted to understand, what are there cultural barriers? What are some of the reasons that a sizable Chinese community in this town doesn't seem to shop in this town? And so I wanted to start with a data point. 2010, 70 considered white alone. That is now 56%. So it's dropped 21% in the last 13 years. But the increase in Asian Americans went from 15.5% to 33%. And so we've been talking about that the Asian community represents a third of this community. It's a huge economic block. And so we considered our responsibility to try to dive into why there are these challenges. And so we have a long way to go on this, but we had a very productive 2-hour meeting. And so there's a couple things that came out of it I thought very interesting. They say that, there's a lot of Chinese cultural customs when it comes to shopping that are not reflected here. So one of them is they expect a shopkeeper to give them a very personal and warm welcome. That in China, that is typical. In America, people are kind of like, why are you talking to me like that? It's kind of too much. And so that's one thing. We talked about, why do they not necessarily buy clothing in downtown? Why do they buy it at the mall? So there's certain brands that they can only get at the mall, and those are the brands that they want for various reasons. they feel like they have not been doing a good job of building relationships with shop owners and vice versa. And that's something they'd like to correct. They talked about word of mouth as being probably their most important way of getting information out. They have a couple of like top performers, New Palumbo's, the auto shop. They did a good job for a couple of Chinese residents. Word got out. That's where they go. Jack's Seafood is their #1 spot. They said like that is the top place for the Chinese residents to go in town to get the fish dishes at Jack's because of word of mouth. They also said, and I don't know anything about it, I suppose, but that we don't have a lot of authentic Chinese restaurants and that other surrounding communities do. And so they feel like they go to these other communities because they're looking for a very specific type of dining experience. They talked about the difference in who shops at the mall and who doesn't. The older residents, the parents and the grandparents tend to go to the mall because of the brands that I mentioned. Also, it's enclosed, it's indoors. However, they say the kids have no interest in going to the mall. The kids want to be in the community. They want to walk the sidewalks. They want to go into different shops. And I mean, if you just sit here at town hall at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can see all of these Chinese American children. So that's encouraging. Then we talked about communication, and this is where I was really fascinated. First of all, they suggested, I guess to Ben's point earlier, is the town could do a much better job of communicating to the Chinese business community. Residents as well, some of these residents are involved in real estate, they're involved in finance, they want to do more business in town, but there is a language barrier. And so again, we have a long way to go with that, but they said, why not have translation services in town hall, where, how do you get a permit? How do you sign up for this or get a parking pass or whatever it is? And then also we spent a lot of time on digital communication. And so I was completely unaware of this, but they spend a lot of their time communicating about deals in town. So, if Splurge Bakery has a promo going on, they have these distribution lists on WeChat, TikTok, Twango, something called Little Red Book, Twangao, which is a Groupon type of app. And then there's something called XHS, which is the Chinese version of Instagram. And so they said, if you really want to get the communication out to the Chinese community, you need to, as a business owner, be involved in these apps and these communication platforms. So I had never heard of any of that stuff. So that was very interesting. So in terms of next steps, that Asian community is not just Chinese, right? We have a huge Indian population here. So we'd like to replicate what we did with the Chinese community, with the Indian community. And then offer at some point some type of, maybe in this room, just a back and forth between residents, business owners, and these community leaders to talk about some of these cultural differences. Some of them are fairly benign, right? It's just a matter of understanding that these are the expectations between both. And I had said this as a 5th generation American, some of the things that you're telling me I would never think of, or I think that they're bizarre. And so we have to find a little bit of a common ground between what you as a 1st or 2nd generation Chinese American versus, folks that have been in this country longer. How do we find a happy balance between the customs? And then they did offer to help us translate into Chinese for various events and things. So I thought it was an exceptionally interesting and productive meeting.
That's
and
awesome.
It's something that we're going to work on and try to continue to bring you guys updates.
So
But those are the steps.
one suggestion would be some class for business owners to understand the culture. So every time we do Diwali
Yeah.
cakes, or we did Lunar New Year, we had items in the bakery. They sold and they were super appreciative that it was recognized and we could do so much more of that, but I'm naive, right? I don't know the holidays and the tradition. So I would think discussions are great, but then actually
that's the way we
holding
wanna
some
go.
training,
Yeah.
just so we can learn.
I was having a similar thought, like, could we do a webinar, like an online, like a panel?
Yeah,
discussion or
multicultural
something?
tradition, high level, just.
Yeah, I think once we
So-
have this meeting with the Indian community and we can consolidate some of the main issues, we can have that as a community-wide discussion with the business owners and these residents, these residents.
I mean, would they also be interested, this is really great and it's so important. Would they be open to or interested in having like a representative on our advisory council?
I think we absolutely could get them to do
that
that,
would
yeah.
be-
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really, you know, even just going through the election for township committee, I think it's actually 37 or 38% Indian American and Chinese American population in Millburn-Short Hills. And it'll be north of 50% and by 2030, easily. And, you know, we were just at the Lunar New Year celebration on Sunday. And Annette, myself, Frank, and Michael Cohen, we were hosted there. And it was unbelievable. Just such a fantastic event and collaboration of the Millburn-Short Hills Chinese American population. And we were at Indian American Independence Day. And it's just such a fabulous, to integrate into the business community is a must. Talk about dollars to spend and money to invest into the community. And spot on, the mall. If you can translate a fraction of the money that's spent at the mall into Millburn proper.
And it's actually something that's a big part of the Main Street application. I'll talk about momentarily. They break it down into 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year goals. And I included, you know, this integration of culture is not going to happen overnight, but it's the kind of thing that as a community, we have to all work together to understand where there are commonalities and where there's differences and how we bridge that. And it's a cliche thing to say, but when we're talking about economic development, we have to get that information out to our merchants about when a Chinese American customer comes in, they have certain expectations, and those Chinese American customers also need to know that there are certain expectations of that shopkeeper. And
absolutely,
Yeah.
and also too understanding the different the Chinese American culture and the Indian American culture. In the Indian American culture, there's multiple classes, multiple people to cater to. Same thing in the Chinese American culture. How do you do business in that culture? It's very, very different. You know, very different than an American culture.
one thing that came out of the discussion when we talked about the brands at the mall, they said, well, you got to think of China as two different countries, because in Hong Kong, we've had high-end brands forever. It's a highly capitalized island. Then you go to other people, they've never had the ability to have a brand before, right? They live in a communist state. And so two people from the same country, right, have two different experiences when it comes to shopping for brands. That's the nuance of this.
Right.
And so
In India, it's three different. There are three different tranches.
Right.
So it's very different.
I think this is all gonna bring us to a higher level of customer service. I think we'll end up being a community that's leading that when it comes to cultures and diversity.
So moving on, continuing about, I guess, education. So we do have 4 education sessions coming up. I'm gonna pass this. Lex, you get to be in charge of this again by virtue of sitting there. So we have 4 sessions coming up with different government agencies or private vendors. All of these are donated services, so we have not had to spend any money on this. That includes the one we've already completed, which was done with Premier Creative on SEO, search engine optimization. So it'll be at least 5 sessions without any cost to us, which is terrific. The first one is actually next Wednesday, February 21st. It's on Zoom. It's with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. They're going to be speaking about different small business grant programs. So there are grants for interior and exterior renovations. There's a program to help you pay your lease costs as a small business. And then they're also going to talk about Capital Access Fund and the Emerging Developers Fund, which is for folks that might be interested in doing larger capital improvements to their properties. The second one is related to NJEDA. This is the program we've talked about a number of times, the e-commerce program, which is the free website program. David Sorkin is one of the consultants that does this work. And so he's going to be David Sorkin from New Frontier, which is located here in town. He'll be presenting on that on March 7th. Then we have a presentation from the New Jersey Business Action Center. So the Assistant Director, Jeff Bueller, is going to be speaking on Friday, March 22nd, also on Zoom. This is a kind of business assistance organization run through the state, which helps with permitting and financing and other things that come to small businesses. And so it's definitely be a good thing for people in the town to understand this resource exists as well. And then the fourth session is a digital marketing and social media session on April 26th. That's going to be a lunch and learn here, and it's also going to be a live cast. And that's going to be presented by Stafford Media Consulting. Ross Stafford is a Millburn resident who has a marketing and digital media company. So all four of those are open to everyone in the CID. And then what is the first time this year, we are partnering with the Chamber of Commerce. And so we're opening this up to all of the chamber members as well. So hopefully we'll get some nice cross-pollination of attendees, and CID members can be chamber members and vice versa. But you know, we're all about business modernization and trying to influence technology. And so those are the four sessions between now and April. And then the Business Action Center, we are working on a Business Action Center CID chamber mixer that's going to be at the Short Hills Hilton, probably at the end of May. So that'll be an in-person session, probably 2 hours on a business topic, and then there'll be a mixer afterwards. So once we nail down a date and time, we'll let you know. So 5 events essentially coming up in the next quarter or so.
And that's just for the next quarter, right? I mean, or you
Yeah.
think wow. So,
What else do you want?
no, I mean, no, I'm just
No, I
saying, but Jeff Bueller, right? Isn't he DCA?
No, he
Main
used to be at the DCA. He used to
Okay.
run Main Street. He's now with the Business Action Center.
Okay,
And how long, do we know how long the state's gonna offer those free websites for storefront?
I don't think there's a sunset at this point.
Wow.
So
That's an incredible deal.
I think if it continues to be funded by the legislature, they'll continue doing it.
I mean, I just keep saying it, I just hope all of our businesses know that, the
Yeah.
supply,
Amazing.
I had
that's worth thousands of dollars.
I had a business owner stop me in the parking lot. Actually, Jesse came by. He says hello, but business owner stopped me. She says, I have to ask you. My husband says it can't be true. The state isn't giving free websites. And I said, no, they are. I said, you pay a lot in taxes. Take advantage.
Yeah.
She says, no, my husband doesn't believe. I said, do you want me to make him a video? I'll tell him. It's like, what do you need? So. Okay, next on to Main Street. So at the, as Ben mentioned at the onset, the Township Committee unanimously approved a resolution to allow Explore to apply to the Main Street program through the state. So we are applying as the C3 on behalf of the township. It is quite a cumbersome application. I'm probably about 80% of the way through, but you can ask Amanda, it's pretty much the only thing I've done for the last week. And it's coming along really, really well. But what I would really like is if anybody on the board is interested in serving on a review committee, probably early March, once I have a finalized document. If anybody would like to read it, just check through it, make sure that it makes sense. It's a somewhat, it's a very specific application because the Main Street program requires what they call the 4-point approach. And so there's 4 economic development placemaking themes that have to be met throughout the application. So it's a bit challenging to write, but if there's if anybody's interested, please just grab me after the meeting or, shoot me a text. But we'd like to do kind of an in-person workshop, go through the document.
yeah, I'd be happy to help. Okay,
Okay, so we'll shoot for early March and then the due date is the 15th. So we want to get it in before then, but I'd say I'll probably have it finished by the middle of next week. Or the first draft, I should say. And then Morris Turnpike beautification.
Can I ask, sorry,
yes,
can I
please.
ask, I know I missed, there might have been earlier discussion about Main Street. I don't know if anything got discussed beyond approval at TC.
No.
Okay, so can I just ask a couple of
You may.
questions, just having heard some questions both at our meetings and watching the TC meeting? Just want to confirm, is there a cost, any type of cost to apply?
No.
Or to join?
No.
Okay. And I know you had shared previously, it opens up resources and grants. We're not, and again, it just gives us the access to that. And then the process for, if we're hopefully accepted, then the process of deciding what we're gonna pursue or are interested in would be subsequent.
Yeah, Ben actually asked that at the TC meeting.
Okay.
So being accepted in the Main Street program doesn't trigger anything. All it allows you to do is then be eligible for programs. So the way that they do it is the state offers technical assistance. They don't offer money. The federal Main Street program, which funnels, which supports the state programs, they offer grant funding. So let's say the ideal process, right, is the township says we want to fix crosswalks in town, whatever it is, right? We can then go to the state will provide the consulting services, develop the work plan, and then we can go to the federal Main Street program and apply for the grant money to execute the project. So it's a little strange that the state does one thing and the feds do the other, but.
Okay, great. I know we've been waiting several years for this opportunity to apply. Yeah, so I am puzzled hearing from some community members of wanting to stop the application from going through. So I'm honestly just confused about that, and I'm hopeful that everyone will reconsider their efforts, because it just sounds like a win-win for Millburn, that all these other towns are part of Main Street, they're getting tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So thank you for working on the application, and thank you for volunteering to review it. It just sounds like a total win-win.
Do you think, should we have like FAQs on our website or something? So if there are people who have these basic questions, does it cost anything? No. Does it, I don't know if there's that much.
So there's an FAQ
Discussion.
that's provided by the state on their website. We can
Just
absolutely
link
put
to
that
it
out.
or-
Yeah, we can put that on our
Send it to
section.
the township committee, I think you even put the, did you even put the minutes?
I put the link, yeah.
The link with the
Oh,
minutes
Yeah,
section?
that's good.
So, I mean, all the other towns around us, for the most part, are in the program. And so we always talk about regional competitiveness. They're getting money, we're not. And Ben, mentioned it earlier. The town has left a lot of money on the table, and it's for so many different things that we can go after grants for. We just focus on the economic development stuff, but this is gonna be super competitive. What they've told us is they're only accepting 5 applications this year. My hunch is that at least one's gonna come from South Jersey. And then I think there's another town that's probably a favorite based on some history. So I think realistically, we probably have a chance at 3 open spots. So it's a big deal to get this. It's gonna be really hard, considering I was on a call with 40 other towns. There's realistically only 3
Yikes,
spots,
that's a lot.
so. Yeah,
And when was it, and the last time it was open was 21?
21.
21.
21, which we missed because we
Just
didn't
missed
have
the
our paperwork.
501.
Yeah.
We tried.
Do you
But we
need
have-
anything else from us in support of this
Um,
application?
I mean, we're gonna
Have gracious volunteers to.
We'll request some letters of support, but at this point, I think that the main issue is just getting the document together and having you guys look at it. So,
That does sound like a competitive process. We want to give it our very best shot.
yes, so we're doing our best.
Thank you for
You're
the
welcome.
additional info.
Morris Turnpike, just quickly, I mentioned that we have 2 grants that are out there right now. I would like to do a hardscaping project. If you drive down Morris Turnpike, I know this is Tracy's passion.
I
Is
drive by it on my way to work twice a week.
It is awful. There's a lot of broken asphalt, there's mud, there's all this kind of stuff. In the, what we found out is called the verge. It's the space between the curb and the sidewalk. And so what we'd like to do is a hardscaping project where we remove some of that broken asphalt, et cetera, put down stone. Ideally, we'd like to do recycled aggregate. So we're being environmentally friendly. So I have a couple of calls into some vendors. They're giving me price quotes on it, and then once we have an idea of kind of where this is ballpark wise, we'll put out a formal RFP. So at this point, I'm just in a holding pattern waiting for some pricing, but I'll come back to you as those numbers come in.
Where would that come, whose budget would that come out of?
That would, we have an allocation that we built into the budget this year from the streetscaping. But if we can secure grant money, obviously we would use the grant money for that. So we have 2 applications in right now for a total of like 18,000. So we'll see where that goes.
And when you say Morris Turnpike, are you talking from,
The entirety of the Morris Turnpike district, so from
Walgreens.
Walgreens at Millburn Ave all the way up to the Benihana.
that's a huge.
It's a
swath.
huge stretch, but actually a lot of it is fairly well maintained grass.
Okay.
So really, we're talking about a pretty small area. It's very hard to work in that area because of the traffic, and we're gonna need some jackhammers to, crack out asphalt and things. We did in 2021 do a small streetscaping project,
Yes,
which cleaned up some things, but it's time for a refresh. So more to come.
With the new swim school gym going in, maybe they want to sponsor something?
Very well may. I will happily make a call to them and ask them
Well,
if they'd
they're
like
right
to
for the, right. for
welcome to the neighborhood. Give us some money. But yeah, it needs a facelift. And so with that, I wanted to have an open conversation with you guys about another kind of emerging issue. And Stephen pointed out that he has some experience with this, which is AI, artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of discussion in the economic development world about the future of AI and how it impacts business communities. And so I actually have a meeting next Thursday with a company called Placer AI. They are making the rounds throughout New Jersey trying to sell their AI products to SIDS. It's a very costly process, and we're not there, but I want to have a meeting and understand the technology behind it. If anybody in the board wants to join, it's actually February 22nd at 2 p.m. So that's 2/22 at 2 p.m. So you can't forget that. And I'll send a Zoom around if you guys are interested. But I don't know a lot about AI technology. Maybe Ben, from his experience, or Stephen. But I did some digging, and I wanted to learn about how are retail businesses utilizing AI, and a lot of it is customer manipulation, essentially, right? Being able to do predictive promotions. If someone is buying certain things all the time, how do you use push notifications or direct them to certain parts of your website? Kind of R&D, right? So when you're thinking about what am I going to purchase for the next year, well, I can use AI to go through data and determine what people have bought, what people didn't buy, how long things have sat on the shelf versus haven't. Customer insights, there's even interactive chats. Some businesses could use that so that a person doesn't necessarily have to talk to a customer. Some may not like that. So then the other thing is some communities in New Jersey, some SIDS are using this technology to track shopper data. So it's basically using cell phone data to determine where people are coming from, how long they're spending in the town, what stores they're going to. You can even have heat maps of where they walk. And so I think that's way beyond what Millburn needs, but I just, the technology exists, and I think we got to have that conversation because
Are those towns in China that are doing that?
No, they're in
I mean,
Montclair.
to me, they're.
They're in
Think
Montclair.
about any privacy question, that's.
Well, it's all,
Pretty
it's all
aggressive.
privacy. I mean, literally, if your phone, it's not.
It's how the data is used.
It's called Facebook. I mean,
Yeah.
now with your phone, they know where you're going, how much money you're spending. They know more about you than you know about you.
Yeah.
Tell you when you go on aisle.
So-
I mean, it's literally crazy.
So I'm just curious if anybody has any particular opinions about this before I go into this call. But I'll certainly report back, and if anybody wants to participate. But I will tell you this: we're not doing AI. We're not going into that. We are at the 1 yard line trying to go the other way. And so just trying to collect information on what this science is, because a lot of retail communities are investigating it as well, and I think we got to keep up.
I don't have knowledge, and I myself am interested in gaining knowledge. So I'm really glad that we're proactively looking into this. I think I'm most interested in understanding how can businesses harness this? Like, how can this benefit businesses? I mean, I know, for example, the younger generation, like my daughter and her job, it's changing the way people are looking for jobs. And they actually have, at her agency she works at, they have like a custom chat GPT, and it's being used a lot for, right? And she works at like a high caliber healthcare communications agency, but it's being used a lot for crafting communications and other things. So to me, it's how can we get ahead of it to help
And
our businesses?
You and I spoke a little
yeah.
offline. I shared a story from when we had the Premier Creative SEO session. One of the ways that, and we've actually had multiple consultants say this, one of the ways to get your search engine results up is to have AI generated content on blogs or hidden web pages. And so Google sees that and increases part of the problem is that AI cannot create information itself. It has to take it from something, right? And so what they found is businesses are plagiarizing other people's content, or they're putting up content that they never read, and so they don't check it for accuracy or whatever it could be. So you're allowing this kind of third-party intelligence to dictate what your company is putting out. And so he gave a very stark warning about,
Right,
just
that's
because.
important too, though, one
it's
of the
important to know that,
warnings, right,
yeah.
don't get on, watch out for these landmines,
You
you
need
know?
guardrails,
Yeah,
you need guardrails.
So I think.
Stephen, you have, you've
Yeah,
used it
yeah, I
in
mean,
business
it's like
or
huge.
what?
So I head up,
Yes.
I head up our emerging technology legal team at JP Morgan, so I have a lawyer who is leading the charge. We have over 1,000 use cases for potential generative AI tools. There's a big difference. We've been using machine learning algorithms for decades. What's new and why it's in the press is the generative AI piece, the output. So if you enter a prompt, you ask it a question, and it will spit out new content. One of the biggest legal issues unresolved is IP risks, both the training of the original model and the output. And there's pending cases across the country right now, so it's unresolved as to those risks, but it's all about the data. The data is the fuel that runs AI, and it's garbage in, garbage out concept. So you have to be very careful, and of course privacy, and there's all these other issues, but it's good that we should get up to speed on it and see how but I don't think, for our store, right? We don't have enough data to analyze our customers.
But you do, because, literally, there's a software we saw that somebody walks into the phone, they can tell you the percentage likelihood of them buying something in your store. And it's all on Facebook and Instagram.
Right. Or what that product is.
Right.
From what I've been reading, if you're set up in a situation where someone comes into your store and they love carrot cake, you can get that notification and push them towards the carrot cake.
Well, based on what though?
So you walk in the store, it recognizes the NFC chip in their phone. It hits their social media, it goes through, it understands, and you have a profile within a quarter of a second.
In your store.
In your store.
Like real time, you're
Yeah.
saying.
They
like
walk
real
into
time.
your jewelry, I walk into your jewelry store, it hits
Come
me,
right-
I've
come right this way.
bought 3 Rolexes in the last 5 years at an authorized dealer, and boom, you know what you got.
Yeah.
Done.
I would never buy a Rolex.
Well, I'm just saying.
Totally, the power is incredible. Then you have the risks of racism and bias in connection with those recommendations. Because you really don't know what it's based on. It isn't tied to me, it's tied to people who own Samsungs or Apples, and it gets into very deep, and it's like, oh, that person could be a certain community member and they tend to like carrot cake or whatever, and it becomes that's where there's this huge gray area and the presumptions that are made, but we should learn more about it and see how as a community, a town, we might wanna leverage it somehow.
Or avoid it.
But also how we can be to me, this just seems like the exact type of role that Explorer or Sid should play, is new technology and helping our 500 businesses understand.
Embrace
Well,
it, understand it.
it could be
And
like one of the
educate them,
trainings.
right.
Well, so this Placer AI company, they've literally been calling every SID director in the state saying, can we have a meeting? And I
But
knew
they selling their
they're selling
product.
their platform.
Yeah.
And it's like a CRM, right? You can go into it, you can analyze all this data. I happen to know about the firm just through some of the conferences I've attended and things. And like I said, I don't think it's for us, but I think it's important that, if everybody else, the other 100 SID directors are getting the calls, we need to be in on it to know what are we facing? What is the, you have to be, and you gotta stay current, like a doctor or a lawyer, right? You gotta know what's going
Maybe
on.
we could invite them at some point in the future to address, to come here and talk to us or pitch us on, what they're doing.
Well, definitely send the Zoom link to all the board members.
Yeah.
So if you wanna jump on that call next week.
Yeah.
And thank you, that is all for me.
Okay, We are now at the point in our meeting for public comment. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, state your name, and speak into the microphone so your comments can be understood and properly recorded. When reading a prepared statement, please send a copy to Tracy at exploremillburnshorthills.org. Speakers must limit their comments to 3 minutes. I would like to remind everybody that this is a business meeting and we would expect professional decorum accordingly. Those on Zoom or phone will also have the opportunity to speak. I think I'd like to start with our Zoom calls first this evening, please.
We have no attendees online.
Okay, no attendees online. Then let's go to the room. Mr. Feld.
Jeffrey Feld from Short Hills. I like the word inference that was used about an hour and more than an hour and a half ago. About the Main Street closures. I really appreciate the discussion because it showed that I was right on my illegal analysis about the Main Street closure requiring to be done by ordinance and having a traffic study. As to your Main Street, New Jersey application, do not use the word hipster or turning into an urban municipality. That was one of the things that drove the citizens crazy. It's 3.5 years, and that was not Mr. Grillo, it was his predecessor who wrote that application. However, when Mr. Grillo made a presentation last Tuesday in front of the Township Committee, he talked about the boundaries of the Main Street, and that was not mentioned to this body. Because there's 4 elements that we talk about in the Main Street, New Jersey program. One of them is organization. Focus on that box. Focus on that box. That's where the issue about controlled entity comes into play. You can't be a controlled entity of a governmental agency. You can't have an appointed board. The people who are paying for the SID had to vote for it. That's been an issue. I've been floating around, but what do I know? No, I used to work in a hardware store in Orange. You talked about Jeff Bueller. Contact him and ask him about my relationship with Jeff Bueller and how many times he sat in my office. And when we talk about the Main Street program, there's 2 possible designations. One is to have the top A grade, and the other one is like a partnership to learn the program. But I'm saying, do not discount what I'm saying. Look at the problem. Have any of you attended in Main Street, New Jersey, public forum to understand all the elements? There are elements that are involved, and it's very important that the public gets an opportunity to look at the application. And that's really it. Thank you. And I'm glad that you're feeling much better.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Rishi Seibert, President. This question's for you, Amanda. You mentioned earlier,
The questions are directed to me.
that's
and then
okay, she's gonna answer the question though. You
Excuse
mentioned
me.
earlier that you send out a blast 2,600, something like that you said, right? You have
Well,
a,
that our subscription base is 2,600.
and how often does that blast go out?
It depends on the content that we have, whether we have events coming up. I'm sorry.
Mr. Seibert,
Do you have the answer?
you must address the chair.
Okay, how many times does it go out?
I would suspect that it goes out when there's an event or pertinent information
And
that
how do
needs
you
to
get
be
on the list?
shared.
How do you get on the
Oh,
list?
sign up, your email, we'll take it right now.
That's how you
please.
get on the list?
Yes,
Well-
Do you want me to answer?
We can answer at the conclusion of his comments. He still
Okay.
has a minute there.
do you have anything else you want to add before we answer?
I was only gonna proceed from that question.
You can sign up via our website. You can do that, or you can just give us your email.
So the correspondence takes place through email.
Correct.
Well, that's what an e-blast does. So if people have signed up and then they've decided to unsubscribe, we use MailChimp. MailChimp tracks that. We cannot send them any more email. So it's very specific on people's rights. But we have people send us emails, we have our form. When we have events and other programs, we give people the opportunity to provide us with that information, and then we
That's good.
keep them up to date on what we're doing. But
No,
as I
I'm just
said-
trying to help you. my thing is the suggestions for it. So in business, a very popular thing is to get $100 worth of goods for $80. People get excited about those kinds of things. Also, years ago, I don't remember how many years ago, there was a coupon book that was sent out through town that you could buy for $5 or $20. And within it was like $1,000 worth of goods. And I always bought it. I don't know how many other people in the room here, I always bought it. It was like gold. We went through it and it was a good thing. So I just asked it for you to improve. So like if you have 2,600 people, that's where I would sell it, that particular thing. Did you ever buy it, anybody here?
That was a long time ago.
I know, but do you remember? It was good, man. I mean,
That was a long
Well,
time ago.
but yes, that would be an outside organization that would get the store's participants to offer their services. And if you spend
so that's
$10.
like value, I just throw that away when it comes in the mail.
No, you're talking about the coupon book. I know exactly what
It
you
was a
mean.
nice book and you flip through it
Yeah.
and.
And what we do for the wrestling and the football programs is Clemenza's and Lestrada give us the $25 coupon.
Yes, that's a
They give
Millburn,
them to us for $13 and we
Right.
sell them for 25 and we keep the difference
yes.
for the.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say, like,
And
That was-
if you wanna join the mailing list.
yeah, I'll go and
Yeah.
say, yeah. But only if you give $100 for it.
No, but maybe you want to sign up at one of the special events on Founding Day, and therefore you can be entered into the raffle that we're gonna be giving.
I think you should volunteer to help Amanda do that program.
All right, whatever.
There's a lot.
I just know that was gold.
But it's not, but no one uses it anymore because people have kind of migrated to the web for, you and I are old fashioned, I get it, or just old. Good evening.
Hi, Vicky Powell, business owner. Couple things. One, I just want to remind you, sidewalk sale, if we have to put it in front of the township committee.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Annual reminder.
Yes. Two, in regards to the Metropolitan and any of these other businesses, apartment complex that are opening, are we gonna have our own Explore QR code in those lobbies? So the people that are not, the 50 that are not participating, they have the district, all the districts and what they offer. I think that's a good thing. So they like their a QR code to the website, so they see what the other districts have to offer, not just the 50 people that are doing the postcards. Okay.
I'll comment on some.
Okay, I just a thought, you could be doing it, I'm not sure. In regards to getting the message out about Restaurant Week, etc. A month ago, I mentioned it would be nice in the township messages if we ramp that home, shop local, shop businesses. That was a month ago. There's been 3 messages, not one of those messages had anything in it saying, let's remember to go to shop small, let's remember to go support the businesses. Listen, Millburn, we've been here for 39 years. Millburn-Short Hills, it's a tough sell. They don't always support the businesses because it's easier to go to Summit or it's easier to go to Maplewood. So if we want to have them to support us, we need to get the message out. I don't understand why, and I've been saying this for years, why the township officer, when she does her Facebook posts and everything, why don't we have a Millburn, hey, it's Shop Small weekend, why don't we come and shop small? Millburn does not do that. I don't understand why it does that, but you can go to Summit, you can see Summit on their Facebook page saying shop small for Summit this weekend. I don't understand why Millburn doesn't do it, but if we don't lead by example and get the message out, then we're not telling them to come and support us. So why aren't we getting that message out? I've had the discussion with Steve before. Millburn-Short Hills, they don't know what businesses are in our town. I mean, I hear it when they come in for the trick or treating. Oh, it's the first time I've ever been into this store. Well, how long have you lived here? I still have people that say they've never been to my business and we've been here 39 years. So you got to get the message out, whether it's a postcard, sending it to all the businesses, all the residents in Millburn-Short Hills with a QR code to Explore saying, hey, do you know what's in your town? Simple. It's everyone can get it and they can do the QR code. Something needs to be done to get the message out. And it has to be led by example by our own township committee in our town. to get the message out for the businesses. Thank you.
Can I?
Yes, please, Amanda, if you'd like to
So something I'm
respond.
not sure if I said earlier, but we are providing a small printed directory of all the SID businesses that's going into the Metropolitan Welcome Bag. We'll do the same thing if given the opportunity with Hearth Millburn. The other thing I will say is I tag the township, I want to say in 95% of the posts I do. Once the young woman comes back, I think it'll be a good opportunity to sit down and talk about, whether I'm choosing them as a collaborator on every post. What are they doing? So I think that can grow more. Tim, I don't know if you have any comments on that, but there's opportunity there for sure. It's just juggling everything at this point.
And the postcard concept, that is definitely on the priority list for this year. I love the idea. We need to get print material into people's hands, so that's a suggestion you made, and we will absolutely do it this year.
I have go ahead, Ben. And then I have one other thought.
I think you're absolutely right, and from the township committee's perspective, it's kind of a, you could, how about at the township committee last time, I'm just trying to collect these thoughts so I say it correctly. I really hit home the restaurant week, and I think we should hit home shop locally. But also too, there's a reason that the township committee instituted the SID. That's who put the resolution in place for the SID, was the township committee, correct? So that's what this DACE is about right here. So we have to make sure that we're doing 100 and everything we can to press forward. So when you sit at the microphone there and you say it, that statement's really pushing this DACE here of the SID to fight harder, to push, because the township committee has funded the SID to press that forward. So when this business owner is speaking, she's speaking to us. So we need to internalize that. As a township committee liaison, I need to make sure that I'm talking to Mr. Grillo, who's leading this charge. She's talking to you. You understand that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
And we talked about it multiple times tonight. I think there needs to be better integration between the SID, the township, and then other community organizations. And it's a three-prong issue, and it's a real issue, and it's an issue that I'm happy to lead the charge on. If it takes me trying to light the fire under the township to do a better job with their communication.
Right.
Because our content is out there. We produce more content by far than anybody else. It's a matter of is it being repeated by the right people?
Right. So
the answer is no.
From the information officer discussion we had earlier tonight, I don't want that to fall through the cracks. Behind the curtain, Alex is the one who really does the township committee weekly messages. So maybe a nudge to say, hey, at the end, shop local, something along those lines.
Wait, hold on, and to your point, I had this discussion with the past mayor, Maggie Miggins, and I brought that to her attention maybe 7 months ago, whatever. She took the charge and she said to Alex, hey, when we do the message, can we make this message it? So yes, it falls on Alex's point, but I'm just saying it needs to be collective. It needs to be you, whatever, but I'm just saying, you can speak to Alex.
Right, but
I
without
brought it
your-
up to you a month ago, and I said, can you add, so I brought it to you maybe when you
Right,
next time
but
you have
without
Alex.
the prodding, with all due respect, you heard me tonight, there's a lot of township committees I'm sitting on and I'm trying to get a collective message across, right?
Yeah.
Earlier today, so that needs to permeate the different committees, and that message needs to go, not just for your business, for all businesses. And that will lift, a rising tide lifts all
I'm representing
boats.
all businesses.
Yeah.
I can, my neighbors say the same thing I do.
I had one other thought. I wonder whether that if we're gonna be letting our merchants, put in these coupons or, these postcards, I wonder whether we should have this QR code with, with shop local, with our, where this goes back to our website, where somebody that, scans this can see that all the businesses in town.
Yeah, one thing that we talked about is the directory is fine, but the directory is not dynamic or interesting. Our Instagram page is great. And so what I'd like to do is, and we're not quite there yet, we will be though, is producing more QR codes that link back to our Instagram page.
Right.
It's certainly more interesting, and that's also where we reproduce literally thousands of pieces of
Data.
merchant promos every year. And so, it's one thing to see that there's a boutique in town on a directory. It's another thing to see their product and their video. So, yeah, I think we could do it on those cards. We're gonna do a better job of that this year.
I'm just saying, like, from what Ben said, we're gonna have these developments, you're gonna have leasing offices, we're gonna have our merchants supplying stuff. I'm just wondering whether we should try to standardize that our website, that our, Instagram or whatever is on the information, just so it's just not a one-off.
Well, I can request that we can put the postcard that we had designed in the fall or another version of that out there. It's really up to what they will allow us to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a policy question for this board or for the township, that we have standards, and that if we're gonna let people advertise, that this should open up to, maybe all of this stuff should open up to our Instagram and shop local, to Vicky's point, we instead of just being, here's a postcard, maybe it should always have our information on it, or the Instagram, as a thought.
I mean, I think that's something we can look into, but these businesses are paying for those
Yeah.
cards on their own.
I was gonna
Those
say,
QR
and
codes-
these QR codes probably go to their websites and
Yeah,
things, so.
I'm just saying, there's a greater good here.
So have
Yeah.
you have the Explore document, you have that, so that can go in the back. And that's in the thing.
We just want to get as much as we can.
Well, a good example is, Tracy's point on the postcards that we've been producing during event season.
Yeah.
We have not linked to our Instagram. We should. And so last year we linked to the website. I think this year we should link to our Instagram. Same thing with our public art. We can put little QR codes on the public art and it links back to the Instagram.
Yeah.
Something that you may not know is I came from the back end change where a QR code leads. So it could start out as taking you to the website, and I can just go in, change that, send it to Instagram.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of control there. Even once something's printed, we could still work with it.
Just want to make sure that we think, I'm just throwing the, we just want to make sure we think through the detail of the marketing, even if it's minute. We have all these new people coming to town, and we're letting our merchants supply the stuff. We want to make sure we get as much as we
Well,
can.
yeah, Rich, I'm thinking you could maybe custom a standardized, member of Explore Millburn, like every one of these, if they have a postcard, you put a
Well-
tiny little thing that's consistent,
Mhm.
Explore Millburn Short Hills member or something.
And I think this is
That's
a good project too for the advisory board to look at as well, because they probably have some good ideas. They're actually business proprietors in town. This township SID has been sitting now for 45 days and we haven't changed the world yet, but the advisory committee can make some look at it and opine on it as well, right? So that's what they're there for. So and I don't know, Vicky, are you on that advisory board? You may. Okay, so we have
I
some
did my
projectors. So maybe we could have them look at it as well and
Yeah.
make some.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're 45 days in, let's figure out if they can make some adjustments as well.
The other thing is, now that we're collecting all this data, shouldn't we be partnering with our own new residents in Millburn-Short Hills? Shouldn't they be getting the same welcome?
There used to be a welcome wagon.
Like,
With
so
realtors or-
with realtors or, we have, I mean, it's the
They
same.
still do
Welcome
that.
committee.
They still do that, I think.
I'm
They
not
changed
sure.
it, I
So
think they changed
I
the
can
name.
answer.
It's not the welcome
There
wagon.
used to be a welcome
Yeah,
wagon. The woman had.
You know, when
Or-
somebody comes-
or-
somebody
well,
moves in town,
newcomers-
they get a new
They do,
basket or
but they
something.
Newcomers,
changed the name.
newcomers and neighbors, certainly, we could partner with them and have them,
I have a meeting with them next week.
yeah.
Temples, mosques, churches.
Those are where the people go. That's
So
their community.
was neighbors and newcomers, it's now called Neighbors.
Right,
That's it.
It has
yeah.
two new people at the
Co-presidents.
helm, because that was something that Rena Patar managed, and she managed the rebranding of it. So I'm meeting with them about all the different ways
right,
we can work with them. And, you know, the Metropolitan is really a test case project of how this works.
yep,
Because we have asked businesses to invest in this themselves. And so it needs to prove to them and to us that that's something we should continue to do
Right.
or do at these newer communities. So we're chipping away at it. We can't do it all, in one day, but we're making strides.
Amanda, do you guys have the Instagram on the bottom of your website? So instead of oh, you do? So all your Instagram posts go on the bottom of your website?
It doesn't work as well as it should do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works,
Because then that will
sometimes it
solve your problem. Instead of sending them to Instagram, send them to the website and you'll see Instagram on it, because I have it on my website. Like
The website is a project in itself that I think we need to prioritize in the
maybe you
next.
need a new one from the economic development.
We don't qualify, we don't have a storefront.
It does.
By law, we have to be in town hall.
Yeah.
Change the ordinance, I get a free website.
well, maybe you can speak to New Frontier about that. Okay, is there anybody online now?
Nope.
Okay, is there anybody out? No, there's nobody else in the room. I'd like to move that we adjourn this meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn? May I have a second?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.